Imagine for a second that you want to buy a bank, not just any bank, the oldest merchant bank in London, the bank that financed the Napoleonic Wars, the bank that paid for the Louisiana Purchase, the bank where the Queen of England keeps her personal money. This institution has survived world wars, the Great Depression, and the Cold War. It is 233 years old. It has assets worth billions. How much would you pay for it? $1 billion. 500 million. On February 26, 1995, this empire was sold for £1, $1.50, less than the cost of a cup of coffee. How is that mathematically possible? How does an institution with centuries of wealth evaporate over a single weekend? It wasn't a cyber attack. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't a recession. It was one man, a 28-year-old kid from Watford named Nick Leeson. He didn't have a master plan to destroy the global economy. He just wanted to hide a small mistake, but that small mistake grew into a $1.3 billion gambling addiction that broke the back of the British Empire. If you are new here, welcome to Fallen Wealth. We document the most expensive catastrophes in history. If you want to see billionaires lose everything, hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss the next collapse. This is the story of account 88888, and it begins in the Wild West. The year is 1992. The place is Singapore. At the time, Singapore wasn't the polished financial hub it is today. It was the frontier. It was chaotic. It was fast. And it was far away from the stuffy, old-school bosses in London. Barings Bank wanted a piece of the action. They set up a futures trading desk on the Cymex. But they had a problem. The London executives were aristocrats. They went to Eton and Oxford. They didn't want to go to sweaty, humid Asia to shout on a trading floor. So, they sent Nick. Nick Leeson was the perfect candidate. He was working class. He was hungry. He was smart, but not book smart. He had actually failed his final math exam in high school. To the posh bankers in London, he was just a barrow boy, a grunt. They sent him to Singapore with a simple job: execute trades for clients. If a client wants to buy 100 contracts, Nick buys 100 contracts. Simple, safe, boring. But Barings made a fatal administrative error. Usually, in a bank, you have the traders and the settlements team. These two teams are supposed to hate each other. They are the checks and balances. But because the Singapore office was so small, and because London was so lazy, they made Nick the head of both. He was the player and the referee. He was the student and the teacher marking the homework. And for a while, nobody noticed, because Nick Leeson was making them rich. July 17, 1992, Nick had only been on the floor for a few weeks. One of his junior staff members, a girl named Kim, made a mistake. She bought 20 contracts when she should have sold them. The loss was small, £20,000. For a bank like Barings, £20,000 is a rounding error. Nick could have called London, apologized, and taken a slap on the wrist, but Nick was proud. He was the golden boy. He didn't want to look incompetent in his first month, so he remembered a computer trick. The bank's software had a hidden error account. It was designed to hold tiny discrepancies, like if a trade was off by a few cents due to currency conversion. The account number was 88888. In Chinese culture, 8 is a lucky number. Nick took the £20,000 loss, moved it into account 88888, and told London that everything was fine. He thought he could fix it. His plan was simple. He would make a few risky side bets, unauthorized trades, make a quick £20,000 profit, pay back the error account, and delete it. No harm, no foul. And it worked. He gambled. He won. He cleared the debt. But here is the thing about gambling. When you win, you don't walk away. You think you're a genius. Nick realized that with account 88888, he had an invisibility cloak. He could take massive risks. If he won, he reported the profit to London and got a massive bonus. If he lost, he just hid the loss in 88888. To London, Nick Leeson looked like the greatest trader in history. He was reporting millions in profits every single week, with zero losses. They called him the Michael Jordan of the trading floor. They didn't ask questions. They just sent him more money. By 1993, the hole in account 88888 wasn't £20,000 anymore. It was £2 million, then £20 million, then £50 million. Nick was living a double life. By day, he was the king of Singapore. He wore $5,000 suits. He threw wild parties. He was winning awards. By night, he was staring at a computer screen, vomiting in the bathroom from stress. He had to keep trading just to pay the interest on the losses he was hiding. It's called the Martingale Strategy. It's a gambler's fallacy. It says, if I lose, I will just double my bet next time. Eventually, I have to win, and the double win will cover all my previous losses. It works, until you run out of money. In 1994, Nick Leeson wasn't trading anymore. He was just flipping a coin. He started selling options. Basically, he was betting that the Japanese stock market would stay stable. If the market stayed quiet, he collected free money. If the market moved drastically, he would lose everything. For months, the market stayed quiet. Nick was digging himself out of the hole. He was almost free. Account 88888 was still bleeding, but he had a plan to clear it all by early 1995, and then nature intervened. January 17, 1995, 5:46 a.m., the Great Hanshin earthquake rips through Kobe, Japan. 6,000 people died, $100 billion in damage. It was one of the worst natural disasters of the 20th century. The entire Asian economy panicked. The Nikkei 225 index didn't just drop, it crashed. Remember Nick's bet? He bet billions that the market would stay stable when the earthquake hit. His positions were incinerated instantly. Nick stared at his monitor. The loss in account 88888 jumped to £200 million in a single morning. Any sane person would have stopped. They would have called London. They would have gone to jail, sure, but the bank would have survived. Nick Leeson was not sane. He was an addict chasing a loss. He decided to go all in. He believed the market would bounce back. It's an overreaction. He told himself, the government will rebuild. Stocks will go up, so he did the unthinkable. He started buying. He bought thousands of futures contracts. He was single-handedly trying to prop up the entire Japanese economy with Barings Bank's money. He was buying so aggressively that the other traders on the floor stopped working just to watch him. They thought he knew something they didn't. They thought, Barings is a 200-year-old bank. They must have inside information. They didn't know it was just a 28-year-old kid in a panic, doubling down on a losing hand. For 3 weeks, he fought the market, and for 3 weeks, the market kept falling. The whole grew. £400 million, £600 million, £800 million. By February 23, the loss was £827 million. That is $1.3 billion. That was twice the total available capital of Barings Bank. The money was gone. The Queen's money, the investors' money, the employees' pensions. All of it. February 23, 1995, Nick Leeson walks out of the office. He leaves a note on his desk. It just says, I'm sorry. He doesn't call his boss. He grabs his wife, Lisa. He tells her, we need to go on a holiday, right now. She doesn't know about the money. She thinks he's just stressed. They drive to the airport. They fly to Kuala Lumpur, then to Kota Kinabalu, then to Brunei. Nick is running, but he has nowhere to go. While they are sitting in a luxury hotel in Borneo, Nick opens a newspaper. It's global news. Barings has collapsed. The auditors found account 88888. The realization hits his wife. The man she married isn't a genius banker. He is the most wanted white-collar criminal on the planet. They try to make it back to the UK. They think maybe the British justice system will be easier on him than the Singaporean prisons. But they never make it. As their plane touches down in Frankfurt, Germany for a layover, the police are waiting at the gate. The fallout was nuclear. Barings Bank was declared insolvent. A Dutch bank, ING, purchased the entire company, buildings, logo, client list. Everything, for the symbolic price of £1. Thousands of employees lost their jobs overnight. People who had worked there for 40 years lost their pensions. Nick was extradited to Singapore. The judge wasn't impressed by the I made a mistake defense. He was sentenced to 6.5 years in Changi prison. It wasn't a white-collar resort. It was a gang-filled, maximum security hellhole. While inside, Nick's life continued to fall apart. His wife divorced him. He was diagnosed with colon cancer. He tried to commit suicide, but, strangely, he survived. He beat the cancer. He got out of prison for good behavior. Today, Nick Leeson makes a living giving speeches to banks about risk management. The man who destroyed a bank is now paid to tell banks how not to be destroyed. There is a lesson here, and it's not about stocks. It's about the sunk cost fallacy. It's that voice in your head that says, I've already lost this much. I can't stop now. I have to win it back. That voice is a liar. Whether it's a bad relationship, a bad business idea, or a bad trade, the most expensive thing you can do is refuse to walk away. Nick Leeson couldn't take a £20,000 loss, so he paid a £1.3 billion price. We cover stories like this every single week, stories of greed, corruption, and the moment the money runs out. If you learned something from this video, do me a favor. Look down, check if you are subscribed. We are building a community of people who want to understand how the world really works. Join us, hit that button, turn on the bell, and I'll see you in the next collapse.